Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, and King Dio. I've recently finished a kind of interesting series, on my Amazon Kindle, the newest manga series. I've read all the way through the end, at least, I don't want to say to the end, but it's not finished yet, but I've read all of the published volumes on Kindle, all 5 of them. Spy X Hunter, the Spy X Family. What am I talking about? Spy X Hunter. What am I doing? I can't even get the title right. How much of a pleb am I? Okay, Spy X Family. Excuse me. Spy X Family. I picked this up on a whim. I saw it on my my page there. It was it kept being recommended to me, and most of the series I'm reading right now I've heard of before. Vinland, Vinland Saga, Yu Yu Hakusho, Haiku, Beastars. This is all stuff I've heard of before. But I think Spy X Family is a series that I didn't really know anything about. I had heard no recommendations of it. I've realized since that it doesn't have an anime adaptation yet. It's relatively new. It's I don't think people have really formulated an opinion on it yet. The author is relatively unknown in the West. This is the first manga series that's been translated into English. This is the first, this is kind of an iffy thing. Okay, am I going to take a risk and buy this thing and check it out? And I ended up doing it. I ended up buying it alongside Haiku. And I tore through these volumes, right? I was pleasantly surprised by it. Now, I don't want to say I was blown away, because I really wasn't. This was probably most of the things I've been really passionate about lately have been a 5 out of 5. This is more a 4 out of 5 or a 3 out of 5, I say, at this point. I enjoyed my time with it, but I wasn't super impressed by it or anything like that. I kind of found myself wishing that maybe they could do a lot more with this concept. Maybe they could maybe the artwork could be better. Maybe Twilight could be a more interesting character. Maybe there could be more drama. Maybe they could have maybe the core concept was a little bit flawed. I was having all these nitpicks, real issues with the manga, and how it was planned out and stuff like that, how it turned out. But I still kept reading. I still kept enjoying it, and I do think that in spite of those issues, and I do think those are very real issues, I do actually relatively like Spy X Family and will continue reading it into the future. Now, what is Spy X Family? What is it about? Well, in a world where spies run rampant, in this world where spies go to war with other spies, there is a legendary spy, Twilight, who is tasked with the insurmountable task of finding a wife and child so he can infiltrate an academy, a prestigious academy where the son of one of his next assassination target is attending, right? So Twilight is of course single. He's unmarried. He has no children, so he kind of has to go out of his way to find a family. He has to adopt this kid, and he has to find a suitable wife. And they kind of have to keep up this facade of being a normal family when when he's a super spy and stuff like that. And it sounds like this could have been this could be a compelling drama or something like that, a really interesting sort of action series with a spy basis. But no, it's kind of a comedy. I want to compare it kind of to kind of a Assassination Classroom, probably a lesser version of that, I would say, because I love Assassination Classroom, right? I've only watched the anime. I'm not sure how the manga is, but it kind of reminded me of that tonally, right? Where you have this kind of morbid sort of subject matter, this spy on this mission to sort of kill this guy, and just giving it a goofy ass premise, oh yeah, he has to find a family. Okay. So how does he find his family? How does he come across what does he do to find his family? Well, first of all, he adopts a kid, and this is the moment where I kind of realized that this series may not be as good as I was hoping, because the kid he chooses happens to have psychic powers. That's right. The super spy, who is the greatest spy in all of the West, goes to adopt the kid, and the one he chooses just happens to have psychic powers. Unbelievable. Like, I was already just been like, my suspension of disbelief was just like, okay, really? This is my problem with this, because this is the thing I don't think, this is what I think is the core fundamental problem with the series. Like, the thing that, like, I have a problem with the most is that, like, I think the core concept of a spy having to form a family to infiltrate, like, a school to reach a specific target is in and of itself an interesting enough premise without tacking in all this nonsense. So, like, what happens, you know, he gets this kid who has psychic powers. He finds a wife who happens to be an assassin, which is also ridiculous, especially since, like, it doesn't really build a matter for anything to the plot at all. And then they eventually get this dog that can, like, has the ability to see the future, and it just keeps piling up, and I'm just like, okay, why can't it just be about the kid going to school and, like, competing to, like, do the best they can, like, trying to, like, get closer to the kid, like, and the kid, like, you know, despite the psychic thing, she really did win me over. Like, she really does put in a lot of effort into, like, the whole, like, spying thing and, like, wanting to make her dad happy, well, her adopted father happy and things like that to complete her, like, mission and stuff like that. She's a charming character. I just wish she wasn't fucking psychic. That's just stupid, and it honestly adds nothing to the plot. And all this honestly just raises all these questions. Like, why doesn't she just read people's minds in certain situations? Why is she, like, not able to, like, do certain things? Like, it's dumb. Like, it's just like it's like an unnecessary, like, plot twist, a plot addition that kind of, like, really muddies the waters, like, really just takes away what I think was, like, a perfectly sound premise, in which, like, you know, if Twilight, the super spy, had a normal wife and child, that would be fine. That would be all I wanted from the series. But instead, they went with this angle of just, like, every single person in this family is, like, hiding something from each other, right? Like, you know, Twilight is hiding the super spy thing. Anya is hiding, like, the psychic thing because she's, like, secretly a top secret government experiment. And like, Yor is hiding the assassin thing. And, like, I think Yor is the most, the wife, is the most blatant example of this because, like, you know, I fucking love Yor in general. Okay, so what happened with Yor is that, like, okay, so Twilight, like, adopts the kid first and kind of presents to the public that, like, Anya is his biological daughter. And as a result of that, like, Yor is kind of like her adopted mother. Like, he goes to find a woman who will serve as, like, her adopted mother, or her stepmother, basically. So he meets Yor, and, like, the thing about Yor is her setup is really, really really well handled, in which, like, she's presented as being a normal person who's just getting kind of skittish at the fact that, like, she's nearing 30 and is still unmarried, which is, of course, a really bizarre, abnormal thing for a woman to do. Like, if you're a woman nearing 30 and you're unmarried, your life is basically over. So, Yor is like, okay, I've got to find a boyfriend for this party I'm going to, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's enough of a reason for her to meet Twilight and sort of get drawn into the whole super spy thing. But what the series does instead is tack on some unnecessary bullshit and have her turn out to secretly be an assassin on the side. Like, a super talented killer by the name of Thorn Princess. Now, this kind of leads to all sorts of fun jokes with, like, her personality and her background and stuff like that. Like, she's really good at fighting and, like, using knives, and, like, gets excited to, like, looking at pictures of guillotines and stuff like that. Like, it's funny stuff, but, like, it's one of those cases, like, reading 5 volumes of this, how exactly does this contribute to the plot at all? Like, 5 volumes later, like, Yor's assassination gig, as she puts it, like, doesn't really come into place in the plot at all. Like, it doesn't amount to anything, it doesn't contribute anything, it doesn't push the plot forward. Like, all that happens is that, like, she beats the shit out of people who, like, fuck with Yor occasionally, like, fuck with Anya occasionally. and it's cool when she does it. Like I do love Yor as a character. Like she looks badass. Like she's adorable. Like I like her personality, but like the whole assassination thing just ruins her character. Like almost ruins her character, I should say. Like it's just something that's just kind of there and like doesn't really contribute anything. Like I don't enjoy that at all. Like I wish she was like a normal person who like maybe just fancied the idea of like being like, you know, a fighter or some shit like that. Like maybe she's a weeb who watches too much anime or something. Like she's not an assassin. Like even after like seeing all the people she's killed, like the way she got started, how like into it she is, like I still don't buy that she's an assassin. It's weird. Like I don't enjoy that about her at all. Like the entire series is like that, right? Where it has like sets up a good premise and then kind of like botches it for like the sake of like a ridiculous joke, right? Like so for example, there's a bit where like Yor and like Twilight have come to the realization that like Yor's brother Yuri is coming over for dinner because he just learned that she got married and she forgot to tell him. Now this should be in and of itself like an interesting like sort of drama, right? Where like Twilight has to like deal with like her with Yor's brother, her only family, right? And sort of convince him that like everything's fine at home and that Yor is like you know, he and Yor are like happily married and stuff like that. But what it turns out to be, you know, they had a good setup, they had a good premise, they built off this really well. What turns up after is that like Yuri is so fucking obsessed with his sister, it has like incestuous overtones. Like I'm not sure what the fuck it is. Like I've been playing a house in Fate Morgana recently. I've talked about this before, but like a lot of the media I've been consuming lately seems to have this weird incestuous overtones. And like with Yuri, it's like it plays that up for comedy because like it's kind of revealed in this section that like the reason Yor has like never had a boyfriend is because of fucking Yuri. And like he's so obsessed and like so possessive and like legit comes off like he's literally in love with his sister. And that's the reason why he's so upset with Twilight for marrying her instead. It's like, it's creepy rather than endearing. Like, rather than, like, being dramatic, it's like, it's not funny. It's not, like, it doesn't hit any of the spots it should. Like, it's just unnecessarily, like, weird and creepy. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, this character should have been really interesting and really should have added a lot of dynamics to the plot. Like, in this hypothetical situation that Yor was not an assassin, like Yuri coming in and turning out to being like an agent working with like the enemy with Twilight's enemy forces, like that could have been like a big major source of conflict, right? But no, instead it just turns into this weird joke. Like Yuri is just completely infatuated with his sister. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. I didn't care for it at all. It's like. It's like they have an opportunity to come up with these like interesting plot lines, these interesting character moments, have funny like just relationships and stuff like that. But like they kind of botch it. Now I'm talking about like the criticism I have with the story a lot, and I do have a lot of problems with it. But like, what does the series do well? Well, it keeps you reading. I do find the characters, all of them, endearing, right? Like, maybe not Yuri so much, but like, well, he's not a main character. Like, everyone in like the core family is interesting. Like, seeing Anya, just like the weird smirk she has when like she thinks she's getting away with something, hilarious stuff. Like Twilight trying to be a father, hilarious stuff. Yor trying to be a mother, like hilarious stuff. Like, it does work. Like. The series doesn't seem to like understand. Like, does it want to be a gag manga or does it want to be like a serious thing? It keeps like leaning back and forth between the two and never really hits the mark on either of them. I kind of feel like sometimes I'm just conflicted on like what the series is trying to go for, because like there's this really interesting. There's this moment like in the series where like Twilight has to go up against like an enemy spy, right? And like the spy is like adjusting his target's grades, right? And the setup like kind of makes you think that like, oh wait, something's going on here, something big is going on here. But like what it turns out to be is just nothing but like an elaborate joke. Like it's nothing but like it's kind of like it has this last minute plot twist that kind of like ruins any kind of like drama the entire situation might have had. Like in the recent volume, like the emotionless like spy co-worker of Twilight comes over, and like it's revealed that like even though she has no emotions, she's deeply in love with Twilight. And it is like it is legitimately funny because like you don't really see it coming because she's like so stone faced about everything, but she's so like adamantly like head over heels for him. It's hilarious. Like the characters are all charming. They all have their moments. They're all funny, right? In their own way. They all kind of like I don't know. It just kind of feels like kind of samey after a while. And it kind of feels like, okay, is this going to get bad? Like at some point, like is it going to get tiring? Is it going to get repetitive? Like, is there ever going to be like, what's going to make me keep reading this at this point? And like so far, like I have kept at it, and I have been like pleasantly surprised by like new additions to the cast, like and things like that. Like like I said before, Anya started winning me over. I'm sure like maybe in the future, Yor might start to win me over too when it comes to like her involvement in the plot. Like again, I like the character, but like I just don't think like she fits into like the plot yet at this point. Like when I read this manga, I keep picturing this kind of like epic sort of situation, like maybe like the spy equivalent of like I don't know, I don't want to say like One Piece or something like that, but like a similar kind of thing where like you kind of have this like well-rounded, interesting sort of like spy on spy conflict, and like sometimes it comes off like it wants to do that. Like you have Twilight like dealing with a bomb threat. You have them like dealing with like random goons on the street. You have them like taking on disguises and like performing operations, which are really interesting and well thought out. And just they seem like they're going somewhere, but like it never goes so far that like you really feel like they really matter to the story at all. You know what I mean? Like it feels primarily like it's a comedy first and foremost, and I find that kind of disappointing. Not that I don't like gag manga, but like if it's gonna be a comedy, like it should like be focusing extensively on the comedy, like really making these characters really, really funny. And I don't think they're really doing that. They're kind of like going back and forth between character drama and like this and like the occasional action scene. Like I don't. It doesn't do any of them like super, super well, I think. But I still like enjoyed it. Like I still relatively enjoyed it. Enjoyed the read. I thought it was entertaining, and I suppose there's really nothing more to it than that. Like that's all you can really expect from a manga, really. Like if it's entertaining, as long as you enjoy it, it was a good read. And honestly, like all said and done, I think I do enjoy Spy X Family.